We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. Voter fraud. We have put together voter fraud. We have put together voter fraud, the most extensive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
Well, if it isn't a Taco Tuesday, and welcome here to the bunker. I'm John, the host. You guys know that, though. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. Taco Tuesday? Anybody? How about Voter Fraud Tuesday? That's going to happen on Election Tuesday come November. We're expecting a lot of it. Now, me personally, just me, not Uman, not Jolene, not Vaughn, not Kaz. I'm not speaking for any of them, but I think that they're going to keep the lid on the violence as long as they can until they need to let it go. But when is that letting of the go going to happen? Apparently, folks, Obama, that's right, Barry Soetoro, is anxious, which means nervous. He's nervous about the upcoming election, and he is wanting to become, according to Biden's campaign, increasingly involved. Doesn't Barry Soetoro have something better to do? I mean, doesn't he have 3 mansions now? Oh, and he's got his beautiful husband-wife, Michelle Obama, and 2 kids. And doesn't he have something better to do than to get increasingly involved? You know, hey, look, there's involved and then there's increasingly involved. Well, he's been involved because the term increasingly means, yeah, he's been involved, but now it's going to go even higher. So, I mean, to me, this was like a big revealing. Well, the freak behind the curtain wants to show himself, huh? Perhaps Barry Soetoro Obama is worried he will be arrested for real election crimes. Real war crimes? How about real treason that he's involved in? Of course, those are all alleged things. But a lot of people have that belief system, and that is why Obama is so involved behind the scenes, behind the curtain in the Biden campaign. Now, can you imagine this? He is a puppet master, Obama, but he's got a retarded puppet who can't speak, can't walk. In fact, if anyone ever looked like a puppet, it would be him. Crap in his pants. The guy can barely function. But Obama, that's all he has. And isn't that a pathetic indictment of Democrats? That's the best they've got, folks. A lying, plagiarizing, bullshitting, racist, child-sniffing, pseudo-pedo freak who gropes on people's wives. At least he used to. Oh, also alleged accused sexual assault master. Right? Remember, Tara Reid says she was sexually assaulted, which for me is interesting. I mean, sexual assault or rape? Which one is it? To treat them the same way is not the same. I have been sexually assaulted by women many times, and I bear the scars of that. Right? It's like it was unwanted physical contact. Is that sexual assault? Anyways, I digress. Obama is one of the masters of the community. Remember that? He's a community organizer. Just what the hell does that mean? Well, it means he's good at getting communists to cheat. Well, here we are, folks. Here we are, and we're going to get into it. I really believe that if they lose control of Biden, if the polls continue to go in the wrong direction, and they're going that way, they're trying. They're trying to stop it, but it's going that way. At some point, will they turn BLM and Antifa and all of the illegal immigrants and the sleeper, shall we say, jihad cells? Are they just going to turn them loose and tell them to get violent? And be like, well, we're going to lose anyways. We might as well let the country burn. I mean, all of the worst candidates have come out to try and help Biden. Hillary's like, well, I'll just be the VP. Right? Camel Toes is like, well, I'm now referred to as the president, Madam President. Right? They're morons. Morons. Chuck Schumer wants to be Joe American and say, see, Democrats are normal, as he puts cheese on a raw hamburger. Yeah, I don't think he has many hamburgers because he has no fucking clue. And Nancy Pelosi, please. And even this, folks, get this. One of the most asinine Democrats out there, Elizabeth Warren. She has come to the defense, rushing in to save Biden, right, over his border crisis that he has created. She wants to defend him and blame, guess who? Republicans. Republicans are responsible for the border crisis, for the catastrophe that has happened in the last 3.5 years of Biden's America. Folks, Democrats are retarded. Literally. They cannot think this through. Who is expected to believe this lie from a woman lying about her Indian heritage? She's got no more Indian in her than King Charles. Just unbelievable, folks. That all they have left is the cheat. That's all they have left. Nothing else. There's nothing else in there. I mean, the entire Biden family. It's not like we go, Donald Trump is kind of an orange man bad, but that whole Don Jr., he's a sharp character. And that Barron guy, he shows some promise. And Eric Trump, he's come a long way. And Ivanka, well, she's Ivanka, right? You look at the Biden family, you got fake Dr. Jill, who takes advantage of a doddering old man who craps his pants. Right? You got James Biden. I don't know what to call this guy. The brother of the president, who is a sleaze. And then you got Hunter Biden, right? The man who smokes crack, got kicked out of the military for being a coke addict, right? Snorts coke off of the asses of hookers, has underage women in film with him. The people in other nations are saying he is a pedophile, and they have the evidence. It's right there. Well, guess what? Hunter Biden has finally had his law license suspended. What do you mean suspended? Shouldn't it be fully fucking revoked? His Washington, D.C. law license is suspended because he was found guilty of, felony gun charges. I just want to know, how could this crack-smoking, drug-addicted, near-retarded daddy's boy become a lawyer and then pass the bar and then keep his law license with his track record? Tell me there's not a problem with the Biden family, the Democrat Party, and the entire system. They're doing everything they can to hide it, folks. In Fulton County, Georgia, that's right, the county where Atlanta is, the county where fat-ass Fannie Willis is. Well, guess what? Fulton County wants to destroy the election ballots from 2020 while there's an ongoing series of lawsuits. You want to talk about election integrity being on the line, not just for Georgia, but the whole nation. I mean, isn't destroying evidence of a crime a crime? Just saying we should destroy these ballots is inciting criminal behavior, right? It's encouraging criminal behavior. It is dangerous to the union, the country, the nation, to destroy evidence of a real, serious problem. And I mean, seriously. Okay, anyways, I'm 10 minutes into the show. I'm doing my monologue. Get your questions down below. We have an awful lot of stuff to talk about. I apologize for not getting my video out this morning. I made the video and I tried uploading the video, but YouTube wouldn't let the video be broadcast. Right? What did I want to talk about? Well, a couple of things, right? A couple of things. Primarily Tommy Robinson, who is like the British or European Alex Jones. He has been thrown in jail. They've tried smearing him, destroying him, censoring him, silencing him, literally thrown in prison. Why? Because of his speech. You see, in England, they don't have free speech like we do. Well, Tommy Robinson was in Canada. You know, those nice, polite people up there north of the border. Imagine this. The warmest place in your country is colder than the coldest place, except for Alaska. Anyways, Tommy Robinson was going to speak, and was arrested in Canada. You want to know why? Criticizing the government. Here we go again, folks. You cannot criticize your master, they say. Well, it's funny. YouTube wouldn't let me upload my video. Wouldn't do it. Is it because it was a video criticizing the government who has arrested someone for criticizing the government? And, of course, Julian Assange. That was the other thing I talked about this morning that nobody got to hear except me. Julian Assange has, reached a plea deal with the United States of America, the Justice Department, the DOJ. This is incredible. He was holed up for 7 years in Ecuador's embassy. It's not really a country. I mean, even though it's sovereign soil, right? He's been, and then the government has had him for 5 years since then. 12 years of the man's life, because the United States government wanted to arrest him because what? Because Private Manning, who became Private Chelsea when they cut his dick off for him, because Private Manning gave Julian Assange top secret documents. I still don't know how a private got their hands on top secret documents. You would think that they would require at least the rank of NCO, corporal, right? E4 and above before secret documents. Well, Private Manning gave them to Julian Assange. And what was in these documents? This information? Well, a lot of things that were incriminating. Yep. So why now? Why did Biden's Justice Department free him? Was Biden involved in this? Is he trying to let him go so he can look good to the voters? Right? I mean, some of these crimes that were committed look like war crimes, right? Unarmed men getting shot to shit and pieces by American pilots, right? Now, that seems like these crimes that were committed by the government should have had, government officials being thrown in jail. But somehow, during the Obama-Biden administration, right, these crimes came out. And so the person who revealed the crimes was called the criminal. So now they let him go. Apparently, they're going to hold his final hearing in the Marshall Islands, which is a U.S. territory under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the Constitution. It's essentially the same thing as Washington, D.C. And then he is supposed to, be sentenced. His plea is that he is sentenced to so many months in jail. But for time served already, they're going to let him go. And then he was supposed to go back to Australia. But I think he was being flown somewhere else. It's apparently he's got his life back. But this election, they're trying to do everything they can to maintain control. All governments around the world, folks, they all want to maintain control of the people, control of the discussion, political discourse. That's why, folks, they had to get rid of Alex Jones. That's why they've got to silence and arrest Tommy Robinson. That's why they need to shut up, right, the big mouth of Julian Assange for procuring secret documents. Crazy, folks. Well, all of these assholes, these globalist, sellout pieces of traitorous crap are all in trouble. In fact, in France, their freakish leader who is married to his own mother, who's probably a man, President Macron, he has warned that in France, if he loses the parliamentary elections, there's going to be civil war next month in France. Civil war, folks. Now, understand this. France has had a problem for 15 years or more with these radical Muslim jihadi assholes who want France to be turned into an Islam religious state. Right? They want Sharia law over the whole country. They think that if they vote in a democratic election for control and get their people elected, that, well, now they can do what they want with the country. You see the difference between a democracy and a republic now? In a democracy, when you have more people, well, you have to do what those people say. And if those people are anti-Christian, anti-white Muslims who are hell-bent on murder, well, they can do what they want because that's a democracy. Well, in America, we have a republic, which means regardless of who's in majority, there are certain rules that do not bend, that always stand, like the First and Second Amendments. We've got trouble, folks. We've got fights. But yeah, it's amazing. Let's go back to President Macron and saying there's going to be a civil war if he's not allowed to stay in office. It's amazing how politicians value themselves so highly, as if Macron is keeping the country unified or peaceful. You got cars burning, people rioting, protests everywhere. France is a fucking mess. Right? So these politicians value themselves, or are politicians like Macron and Hillary and Biden and Obama, are they willing to go scorched earth over losing power and let everything burn? I say they're both. I think they have high values of themselves, and they will let things burn if they don't get their way. And I think that's what's happening with Biden and Obama at the puppet strings and Hillary off to the side, cackling. I think they're waiting. If they can't win this, if they can't control it, then they will cause it to burn and let it burn. That's who we're dealing with, folks. That's who we're dealing with. Right? There's incredible stuff going on. Let's take a look at World War III, shall we? Yeah, let's do that. Well, a lot of people think World War III is coming. I think it's already started. We just haven't got to the big fireworks yet. The Kremlin, which is the Russian version of the Pentagon, the Kremlin has summoned the United States government's ambassador. Come on over here, we're going to talk. They've summoned them over the American missiles, explosive missiles that were used in the Crimean beach attack. That's right. Russia's going to respond, folks. Every attack against Russia has resulted in excessive negative consequences for the United States of America and for Europe. Now, what's fascinating, and I find this incredible, is I go to mainstream media. Now, if we were to vote, if you hear a news story from mainstream media, we know it's propaganda. Is it more than likely full of lies or full of truth? The mainstream media, do you believe them? It's funny how a lot of people will believe them when they hear what they want to hear. And then when they don't hear what they want to hear, they don't believe them. Well, I don't believe anything they say. Even if I want to hear it, I'm like, yeah, right. Fat fucking chance. I'm not buying that. Right? You're going to all of a sudden throw me a bone. Forget it. right? But folks, interesting, right? It's interesting that the media wants to say Russia's losing. I went and looked at them all of these things. Oh, the Russian tanks are no good, and Ukraine has all the tanks it needs. Tanks, America, you really helped. The question I have is, if Russia is losing and getting blown up and destroyed, and Ukraine is winning, why aren't the Russians being pushed back to Russia? Why are they continuing to move forward and take more territory? Why aren't the Ukrainian people en masse showing up and supporting their military? Why are Ukrainians hiding, fleeing the country? Yeah. And, Russia, I know, is full of its propaganda. They're claiming that one of their jet fighters shot down a U.S. Reaper unmanned aerial vehicle, right? A drone over the Black Sea. Well, the Reaper is not a fighter jet. It's not even close. So them shooting that down wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me in the least. But back to Ukraine. There's a lot of problems in Ukraine. They're winning the war, we're told. They have all the equipment they need, they said. It's a great victory every day for the Ukraine military. Then why is it that so many members of, Voldemort Zelensky's State Department, the military, why are the assassination attempts coming? Remember, Hitler was so hated by his own officer corps that over a dozen times they tried to kill him. Is Zelensky feeling Hitlerish? Because he has ordered a complete purge of the Department of State Protection, because he had to arrest, people who were engaged in assassination plots. So how can a nation that is close to victory want to assassinate their strong, charismatic, handsome, homosexual leader? Yeah, crazy. I don't think so. And if Russia keeps saying, anytime you want, you can come talk peace, right? If Russia needed to surrender, they would be asking Zelensky, okay, we quit. What is it that you want? It's crazy. Anyways, let's do this. Folks, the battle that you and I are facing, while everything is going haywire in Russia, haywire in China, in Taiwan, haywire in North Korea, we've got things going haywire here in our nation. Now, you heard the other day from me and probably the news and your friends and everyone else that one of the states in our country, the Attorney General, is going and suing Pfizer for their deception, their lies regarding safety and efficacy of the Jim Jones juice. Well, 4 more states are now launching their lawsuits. Huge, massive, enormous lawsuits against Big Pharma, Giant Pharma, once again over deceiving, lying to people about their Jim Jones juice and how good it is, right? I think that there needs to be more and more organizations, government, private individuals that need to join. And they also need to name Biden and Fauci as accomplices to their crime, because they are accomplices to the crime. Now, can Biden say, well, they lied to me and said it was safe and effective, so why am I responsible? Well, because you were losing patience and telling people, demanding they take the Jim Jones juice. And folks, between that and their jobs, a lot of people succumbed to this demand and request. I don't think of it as a request when there's a negative penalty for not doing it. But I know that Fauci, I mean, Biden could claim he didn't know. Biden could claim that he's a dotard, but Fauci knows. And he got his ass grilled off today. And I want to thank Chin Music for sending me the link to that. Because a doctor who is serving in Congress let him have it. He said, how dare you sit there, not treating patients, not looking at how things actually work in the world of medicine, and stop me, a doctor, from practicing medicine, hands-on, all kinds of experience, education, watching people live and die, saying that I'm not allowed to talk, I'm not allowed to have certain medications, I'm not allowed to practice, I must be silenced and shut up. Anyways, the guy went off on him, which is great. I think Fauci needs to be named with Pfizer and AstraZeneca and everyone else, all the other countries or companies. Definitely. They all need to get it. I mean, this country of ours, or rather the government, it's not our government anymore. It's out of our control. From the southern border and the government itself flying people into the country, paying for their airline tickets, letting them in. No ID required to get in. No passport. No proof of anything. Just welcome to America. Start raping and fucking everyone over. Right? Never forget that's what the government's doing now. Never forget that they want to lock everyone up. And that Biden is once again with the Department of Homeland Security saying you are a domestic terror suspect because you don't agree with him. Right? Never forget how they treat us, folks. In fact, never forget this. Washington, D.C., the FBI, they've been holding Green Beret, former Green Beret, Army Master Sergeant Jeremy Brown. They've been holding him for over 1,000 days of his life. Why? Because he put out on the internet the video of the FBI trying to recruit him to participate in their January 6th operation. I think that Jeremy Brown should have been a star witness for everybody who was arrested because his testimony would stand that, yeah, they tried recruiting him and voila, he is now arrested after releasing the information. They wanted to recruit him, folks, hoping he would screw over fellow Americans. But Master Sergeant Brown, he refused. And the FBI showed us that they are the true enemy within our borders. And we're sworn to protect the country from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I take that charge very seriously still. And I know veterans do. I know veterans, all veterans do. Well, let's do this. This is crazy. This is pretty much crazy. The FBI, elections. Well, they were responsible for the Steele dossier along with Hillary Clinton and saying, oh, no, the Hunter Biden laptop is fake. Everything about Trump and Russia is true. FBI. Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Ruby Rod Rosenstein, right? James Comey and Chris Wray and all these scumbags stonewalling Congress and stonewalling the American people. Well, we now have an asshole in the state of Arizona. He was caught stealing the election fob, the election keys in none other than Maricopa County at their tabulation center, their voting tabulation center. He was caught stealing the keys. Basically, he was stealing the ability to change the votes. And now, folks, the FBI has been accused of going to his social media accounts and scrubbing them. Why would they want to do that? Why is there a need to do that? Why is the FBI involved in that? Well, once again, the FBI must be involved in a criminal man's case. So what are they doing there? Trying to cover him up, hide the facts? isn't once again destroying evidence in a criminal investigation a crime? So what is the FBI up to by removing all this information from the public? How involved was the FBI, folks? Was this Democrat, criminal, election fraudster, con man, an agent paid by the FBI? Americans want to know. I want to know why the FBI is so close to this guy that they're being accused of tampering with evidence in a massive crime. Election interference, folks, I think is treason. Absolute treason. I think it's absolute treason what they're doing and continue to do. Just what a mess. What an absolute mess. I mean, from Zelensky, the little fruitcake Hitler, right? Having officers planning to wax his dumbass, to Obama stepping in and taking control of the Biden campaign because they're losing, to the FBI being involved from border to border, sea to shining sea, and covering up for crimes, folks. Crimes. You know, all of these people, it's just so big now. It's so big, it almost seems comical, right? These states that are going to join, I think, Oklahoma, or was it Missouri? I think it's Missouri, right? They have accused Pfizer. I think all of big pharmacies should be named because all of them have raped the world, lied, and murdered. Way worse, folks, this case, the pandemic, they locked the world down. They destroyed businesses, families, children, lives. Way worse than the swine flu vaccine of the 1970s. And I wonder, do any of you know about the swine flu vaccine of the 70s where people were killed because they were told, you need to go get this. You need to go get it. Yeah, I'm telling you, they're not going to quit, folks. They're not going to go away. Not that easy. But it is now time for the Inner Circle with you. I want to know what you guys are thinking. So you are up next. And we're back. Mr. Uman, I know we've got some good stuff to talk about. What do we have? Where are we starting? And Uman says the favorite story of the day, the WAPO, Washington Post, reports this. Burning fossil fuels is causing both global warming and global cooling. Lowering emissions, folks, is now warming the planet. This is, it's a talk about a cover your ass move. Yeah, first the carbon going out heats everything, and then it causes cooling. In other words, they don't know. They're lying. They're full of shit. They're making this stuff up as they go. And in all ways, everything you do is wrong. Everything you do is wrong. And the only way to fix the climate has nothing to do with carbon dioxide or carbon-based fuels. It has everything to do with this. Are you ready for this? Taxing you, controlling you and your travel. And controlling what you eat. To say that cows are awful and dangerous, destructive, going to destroy the planet. Really? Right, so grass grows. It grabs carbon dioxide out of the air and makes the grass plant because they eat the grass. Trees do as well, but grass. And then that grass dies, falls over, it rains on it, and it rots, releasing all the methanes and carbon dioxide back out into the air. Greenhouse gases, one and all. Or the cow can come along and eat that nutritious green grass. And before it has a chance to rot, right, the cow uses the energy within the grass to make meat. That's right, folks. Juicy, tender hamburgers and tri-tips and briskets and filet mignon and then steaks and porterhouses and you name it. Chateaubriand, all the good stuff. And then they fart a little bit of CO2 and methane. I think that the cow turning a lot of that methane into delicious steak is a much better move. But, you know, everything, we have too many cows, it's bad. Have no cows, it's bad. Right? You burn a lot of fossil fuels, bad. You stop burning fossil fuels, bad. In other words, the only way to fix this is to tax you. You know, fuck these people. They're that stupid. They really are. They're that stupid. Okay, Mr. Uman, let us roll, if we shall. What do we have next? We've got Mr. Orlando. Hey, how you doing there, brother? He says, I don't know why any of this still surprises some people. We all know what goes on. Remember, we're told this summer to lower air conditioning usage to avoid grid failures while being told to drive electric cars. Well, the dichotomy of mental retardation, my brother, is just not going to quit, right? Once again, global warming makes things bad. It makes things good. Turn off your air conditioner, but charge your car. Oh, wait a minute, not enough charging stations because Biden didn't do what he said he was going to do. So get a diesel-fired generator out there to charge electric vehicles because that'll put less CO2 in the air. Do you believe that for a second? But the Democrats do, folks. The Democrat that lives next to you, the one right next door, the one across the street, the one 2 houses down, 3 houses down, they're all around us. These idiots who vote for Biden, think John Kerry is brilliant, and their 2 favorite spokesmen for the environmental climate crisis are AOC, not even qualified to be a bartender, and of course a high school dropout, little Gretchen the climate Grinch. That's their spokespeople. That's their brains, folks. That's the face. When I see those faces, basically it tells me, F you, John. Right? That's exactly what they want. Anyways, Orlando, I'm not surprised. I expect stupid. But yes, when it comes, it's still like, really, really, really? Just incredible shit. All right, let's do it. Let's have some more fun. What other SHTF is out there getting to you? And it's Heidi. And says, she writes, oddly, even reading material is showing up with woke themes. What could you possibly be reading, Heidi? She says, I'm talking about silly werewolf love stories and zombie novels. Oh, yeah, it's continuing. It's continuing. I get stupid werewolf cartoons and woke BS all the time. It's stupid. I don't read any of it. But yeah, all of a sudden we have gay characters and interspecies romance. Now here's kind of where I caught on to this. And I've watched a couple older TV shows from 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And occasionally they would put in the gay person or the fruitcake or the weirdo, right? And they would put in these little themes, very small, tiny. So much so that back then we're like, who cares? Who cares? Right? Who cares? Now, of course, it is so in our face. Everyone's gay. You got to have, I almost said the F word, fruitcakes kissing on TV commercials. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. It is so incredibly woke that even dumbass Joe Biden's like, are there any non-interracial couples on TV commercials anymore? Right? It's all woke all the time. But when you go back and watch the older stuff, you will see hints of that. Now, there's a show called Chuck. It's about a like a Best Buy nerd from the Geek Squad. And he gets drug into this kind of spy lifestyle. But the show is like 15 years or older. But there's just little teeny things in it that are bothering. But there's also other stuff in there, like one of the agents talks to Ronald Reagan picture, and not in a degrading way to the character or to Reagan, but rather he's like, we got this, boss. Like he's a hardcore Republican. He loves his 1986 Crown Victoria, right? He loves those cars just because, they're government agent cars. Anyways, it's a funny show, but you can just see little pieces of woke crap. And then it's just, once they planted those seeds, look out. All right, great topic. Thank you, Heidi. And then moving along, we have Mr. Diving Frog. And he says, John, do you think at the end of Pride Month, they'll have a big celebration? And if so, who's the headliner? Eddie Aids and the S-Rammers. Well, let's start with this. The end of Pride Month. I hope and pray that this Pride Month, the end of it, is the last one ever. It is the most ridiculous, stupid shit. I don't know why any city or county anywhere recognizes this crap. It is not a national holiday. Anally impacting somebody is not anything to be proud of. But to them it is. And I hope they have a nice big celebration. And there's a big fear out there still. Remember, the fear has not gone away that the pro-Palestinians are going to commit acts of terror against these fruitcakes. But I'll tell you who I have seen. I have seen normal, regular, everyday, either Scots or Irishmen and Englishmen beating the shit out of these gay pride fruitcakes. Beating the shit out of them. Why? For riding around naked on bicycles with their dicks just swinging all over the place. And then here also, marching naked with body paint all over them as well, or parts of their body painted, other parts just swinging in the wind. Look, do what you want on a nude beach. Fine. Do what you want in your own backyard, in your own house. But going out in public in front of children, exposing themselves, trying to sexualize and groom children. Drag queens. I watched this filthy video of a drag queen, a male with fake breasts, completely naked. Well, 99% naked. And if you count like a couple feathers in your hair being dressed, parading into a crowded room, holding the hand of a little girl, exposing a little girl to that shit. And they are shit, and they are criminals. I mean, answer me this. Why don't drag queens go to old people's homes? Why don't drag queens go to retirement villas? Why don't they go to libraries and read books to the elderly? Why is it they're only interested in children? Answer me that. Riddle me this, right? Why are they only interested in children? Because they're sick, perverted fucks. That's exactly why. They know that if they can convince children to accept them, that in the future, right, they're protected. They don't understand. They're so fucking stupid. If the New World Order, World Economic Forum, Illuminati types win, all of these fruitcakes are going to be greased. They will be eliminated because there is never a power vacuum. When there is a lack of leadership, a power vacuum, it is always filled with very, very dangerous types of people. Power vacuum after Russia took over as communists. Joseph Stalin stepped in, killed tens of millions of people. Chairman Mao killed close to 50 million people. Hitler came in and filled a power vacuum. And how did that work out for everyone? In every instance where there is a revolt and a power vacuum, a lack of leadership, a lack of morals, you end up with these crazy killing machines. So they're trying to create a power vacuum right now. Right? The tranny in chief, Michelle, is right there leading the pack, happily lying to everybody. Oh, we've got a shitstorm on our hands. All right, let's have some more fun. Let's get the satire out there. Am I pulling your guys' chain? Am I telling you exactly what I really believe, or am I just causing you to think? I want you to think about shit, right? I do all the time. We got something from Jolene, the prepared mother. She says, Oakland's mayor, Cheng Tao, I believe I'm saying that correctly, her top aide and her personal lawyer, right? They're the same person. They're both top aide and personal lawyer, have jumped ship. They quit after the FBI raided her home. That's interesting. Yeah, when your top aides abandon you, it doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. Funny how Trump defeated the leftist scumbag prosecutors, but many of his top lawyers and other lawyers just associated with the Trump movement, they gave in. They copped a plea, and then Trump's like, hey, right, not happening. Well, Sheng Tao's lawyer quit. And so now the mayor of Oakland, Sheng Tao, she has spoken out because, well, the FBI raided her home, and it's all a right-wing conspiracy. That's right. She actually used the term radical right-wing conspiracy because they, the radical right-wing, wants to push her out of office. Name one Republican in California who is so connected to the FBI that the FBI will do that person's bidding, because that one conservative is so radical right-wing that they want to take over control of the Shangri-La of Oakland. I mean, seriously, name a single Republican, conservative, or right-winger who is even remotely interested in Oakland as a jurisdiction for their freedom and prosperity. I'm sure there's drug lords out there that are like, man, this town is fucking rough. Right? I'm sure there's pimps out there like, yo, man, it's tough getting bitches in this town. Right? Ever since Kamala Harris went to Washington, D.C., we've been short a hose. It's a rough times out there. But yeah, name one Republican that thinks he can take over Oakland and fix it and wants to do that. Fucking people run away from Oakland. Run from Oakland. I can't imagine a community organizer saying, I just love Oakland and I think we should. I mean, who the fuck says those words? I love Oakland. Ooh. It's like saying, I love Chicago and Chicago. Ooh. Not happening. You know, Baltimore's the greatest. Boo. No one says those words. Nobody. And that's why, folks, once you go over the edge and you've destroyed your city, like San Francisco, now it's so broke it can't afford to fund schools, but it can clean the streets up for Chairman shit-stained Xi Jinping. Right? Portland, Seattle, scum central. Los Angeles, corrupt. Once they go over the edge, you can't get it back. You can't fix stupid. You can't fix corrupt. You just get more and more corrupt people looking at it going, hey, this city's so fucked up. I can get in there, do whatever I want, and I'm scot-free. I would like to know what Sheng Tao has done that the FBI is like, look, we let Democrats get away with all kinds of shit all the time, but in this case, we're going to have to say no. I mean, what the hell is she doing? Cooking fucking opium on her back porch? giving it to kids to distribute in school and getting her cut, but nothing for the big guy. You know what I'm saying to you? All right, let's do this. Let's have some more fun because I'm having some fun. And Chin Music steps up with a fun fact. I love fun facts because they're fun. He says Dana Bash of CNN. I thought her name was Dana Gash. It's Dana Bash. Dana Bash of CNN was married to one of the 51 intelligence agents that lied about the Hunter Biden laptop. Dana Bash of CNN was married to one of the 51 intelligence agents that lied about the laptop. The hits just keep on coming on WDNC Commie Top 40 Radio. WDNC, Commie Top Radio. Yeah, they're going to continue to lie. Dana Bash apparently is having everything to do with the presidential election. I'm sorry, not election, debate. The debate. And it's just, I believe, 2 days away. Is it 2 days away, oh man? The great debate. I've heard that President Trump, unlike all of the drag queens and perverted freaks, he's actually spending time in rest homes and retirement villas, not reading books. No. Instead, he's talking to all of the uber elderly. Basically, he's talking to dementia patients in preparation for talking to Joe Biden during the debate. That's correct. Absolutely correct. 100% pure satirical fact. That's what Trump has been up to. Practicing talking to babbling morons who, through no fault of their own, have dementia. In Biden's case, he was a moron before he got dementia, and now he's a moron with dementia. Makes him extra dangerous, in my opinion. All righty. Thank you for that great fun fact. Dana Gash. Woo! That ought to be a hot date right there. Okay, man, I know we're having some fun. I can see you smiling here. He's got his own thing to say. Here we go. Real life right now happening. SHTF happening in Minnesota. The dam is on a verge of collapse. Is it called the dam? Anyways, towns are downstream. They're being evacuated. This is the real life stuff we need to be prepared for, folks. This is what Uman says. Be safe and aware in Minnesota. Heidi, run. No, don't run. Make sure you're not downstream, though. Oh, boy. There we go. The real life stuff, yeah, we need to be prepared for. Now, floods, hurricanes, tsunamis, tornadoes, earthquakes. You could even say wildfires are natural disasters. They're awful, but they're usually also locally problematic. They're regionally destructive. But as always, you can avoid a flood. You can avoid a fire, except in Lahaina, Hawaii, where the government traps people inside the fire zone. You can avoid these things, but the problem I always see is what the people do afterwards. What the people do afterwards, right? Whether it's a man-made event or a man-caused event. Let's use Hurricane Katrina as an example. Hurricane Katrina was a natural hurricane, but it was what people did afterwards. What the government did in particular. Is everyone aware that police officers murdered people in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina? Is everyone aware that police officers raped women in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina? Is everyone aware that people were held hostage and kept inside the Superdome as hostages, as prisoners, having committed no crimes? Even Geraldo, folks, that's right, Geraldo Rivera went down there and was doing one of his big hit pieces. He's famous for putting shit on the news that if it wasn't for him, we would never know. That, yeah, people were being held hostage, or held against their will at the Superdome. He was also the same dumbass reporter who showed Marines, including their lieutenant, guarding poppy fields in Afghanistan. He did a story from Afghanistan saying, "What are you doing here?" "Well, we're guarding these poppy fields because Pentagon says to guard them because this is how these people are supposed to make money in the future to free their country, by guarding poppy fields so they can make illegal drugs to sell overseas that hook children and women and destroy the lives of men." Anyways, all the way back, do your best, be prepared for natural emergencies, but it's always what other people do that I believe becomes a huge problem. Huge problem. And I caught this. I caught this news story, this headline. "Before we discuss restricting the Second Amendment, terms have to be defined." I read that and thought, who the fuck says we need to restrict the Second Amendment? Who says that's part of the discussion? In fact, haven't lawmakers, haven't legislators, haven't Congresses, state and federal, been trying to pass restricting the Second Amendment, restrictive gun laws, magazine laws, ammunition laws, restrictions by using taxes? Haven't they tried all that shit? Restricting parts of guns, no bump stocks, no pistol braces. They've tried restricting it and it keeps getting shot down. So why is this fucking article being written that, well, before discussing restricting the Second Amendment, terms need to be defined? It's from the Gateway Pundit, folks. Right? And so the author there says, liberals argue that drugs should be legalized to reduce drug-related crime. Right? The claim is that legalization lowers prices and eliminates criminal gangs from the equation. Instead, you involve the government, and the government doesn't like competition, right? And they'll tax the shit out of the drugs. Anyways, back to the article. These same individuals advocate for reducing gun deaths by making guns illegal. Ironically, drugs kill more than twice as many Americans each year as guns. Yet they want to legalize drugs and criminalize guns. I say that rather than agree to terms, right, we have to agree on what the terms mean. How about this term infringed in the Second Amendment? I think it needs fuller clarity. It means to get near, to infringe, to get close to infringe. Shall not be infringed is strict in construction, right? Legislative construction or legal construction or law, right? The law is constructed in a way. There is no argument to be heard. Shall not be infringed is clear instructions. The term has now been defined clearly, right? And also, folks, if legalized drugs reduces crime, then legalized guns reduces crime. Should it not? In fact, in this case, it's true. And lo and behold, more guns in the hands of Americans is reducing crimes, right? The more people that carry concealed or even open carry is reducing crime. There's been this meme that circulates all over social media and it pops back up. Shows a waitress serving a family some food at a restaurant table. Probably food that family can't afford here anymore because of the inflation. It shows a waitress with a gun on her hip. Shirt tucked in, gun on her hip. She's there to serve food, work, and protect. Talk about serve and protect, man. This chick shows up with guns and food. That is serving and protecting. Oomhan says, talk about guns. The Surgeon General declared gun violence a public health crisis today. Article said that guns are now the leading cause of death in children. That's a lie. How they manipulate that statistic? Well, by manipulating it, I guess. Everything, though, is now a health crisis. That's how they get us to accept their bullshit. Pandemic, that's a health crisis. So we have to have emergency power. Guns are a health crisis. Climate is a health crisis. Everything is a health crisis. They use that as if we're supposed to fucking buy it. That it's supposed to, we're supposed to go, okay, fine. Done with it, folks. Absolutely done with it. Whew. Hey, folks, chance favors the prepared mind is yours. This is the end of the Taco Tuesday talk about it time. I sure hope you're prepared for what's coming. I really do. A chance favors the prepared mind. Aren't you glad you are a prepper?